How Victoria's Secret went from iconic to a full rebrand, the rise, fall, and what's next. Intro. From angels to afterthought, once upon a time, Victoria's Secret was untouchable. For decades, it wasn't just a lingerie brand, it was a cultural phenomenon. Everyone recognized the pink striped bags. The annual Victoria's Secret fashion show was primetime TV, an extravagant display of impossibly beautiful angels, strutting down runways in diamond-studded bras and giant feathered wings. The brand's marketing told women, "This is what sexy looks like." And millions of women bought into the fantasy, literally. At its peak in the 2000s, Victoria's Secret held nearly a third of the entire women's underwear market in the US, but then, things started to crack. What was once aspirational suddenly felt outdated. Today, Victoria's Secret looks nothing like its former self, and that's not by accident. So, how did they get here? Let's rewind the story. Chapter 1. Building a Fantasy. Victoria's Secret's story began in 1977 with Roy Raymond. He felt uncomfortable shopping for lingerie for his wife in traditional department stores. So he created a boutique where men could feel at ease, buying sexy, elegant lingerie. He designed the stores to feel like a Victorian boudoir, hence, Victoria's Secret. But the real transformation came when Raymond sold the company to Leslie Wexner, the CEO of Elle Brands, in 1982. Wexner saw a massive opportunity, not just to sell bras, but to sell a dream. Victoria's Secret became the go-to place for push-up bras, silky lingerie, and perfume. They sent glossy catalogs to millions of households, creating the image of the perfect woman, tall, thin, mostly white, conventionally beautiful. By the mid-90s, the brand took things to another level with the launch of the Victoria's Secret fashion show. It wasn't just about lingerie, it was about fantasy, celebrity, and exclusivity. Supermodels became household names: Tyra Banks, Heidi Klum, Gisele Bündchen, Adriana Lima, Alessandra Ambrosio. All angels, a name that came with lucrative contracts and pop culture fame. The fantasy bra, often worth millions, symbolized the over-the-top luxury the brand wanted to sell. And for a while, it worked brilliantly. Chapter 2. The cracks beneath the wings. As the 2000s turned into the 2010s, cracks began to show. While Victoria's Secret kept doubling down on their narrow idea of beauty, the world around them was changing. Social media gave women new voices and new standards of beauty. People wanted representation. They wanted inclusivity, body positivity, different sizes, different skin tones, different gender expressions. Suddenly, the airbrushed angels felt more alien than aspirational. At the same time, new brands were rising fast. Aerie embraced unretouched photos and real customers as models. Third Love offered half-cup sizes and advertised using everyday women. Savage X Fenty, launched by Rihanna, turned inclusivity into the new sexy, with runway shows featuring pregnant models, plus-size bodies, and performers of every shape, shade, and identity. While the world evolved, Victoria's Secret was stuck. The brand clung to the idea that their hyper-glamorized, cookie-cutter fantasy was what all women still wanted. The leadership didn't help. In 2018, Ed Razek, their chief marketing officer, gave an infamous interview where he dismissed the idea of plus-size and transgender models walking their runway show, saying they didn't fit the fantasy. The backlash was immediate, but the damage had been building for years. Chapter 3. Behind the Curtain, Scandals and Setbacks. Beyond falling out of touch culturally, the company's leadership was tainted by controversy. Les Wexner, the longtime CEO, had troubling ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein managed Wexner's money for years and used his connections with Victoria's Secret to prey on young women, allegations that Wexner denies knowledge of, but the headlines made the brand's image even worse. Inside the company, reports of a toxic culture of misogyny and harassment surfaced. Former executives described an environment where models and employees were subjected to bullying and objectification from the very people running the show. All of this added fuel to the fire. By 2019, the once iconic fashion show was cancelled after viewership dropped drastically, from over 12 million in its heyday to barely a fraction of that. Stores closed. Profits fell. In 2020, Elle Brands announced it would spin off Victoria's Secret as its own company in hopes of a fresh start. Chapter 4. The Big Rebrand, From Fantasy to Reality. So what did Victoria's Secret do when they realized the old playbook no longer worked? In 2021, the brand finally took radical steps to reinvent itself. They announced the end of the Angels. Instead, they launched the VS Collective, a group of brand ambassadors meant to embody a broader vision of beauty and empowerment. The collective included soccer star Megan Rapinoe, actress Priyanka Chopra Jonas, plus-size model Paloma Elsesser, and other athletes, activists, and entrepreneurs. The new message: Victoria's Secret is no longer about just selling a male fantasy. It's about supporting women of all sizes, backgrounds, and identities. They revamped their stores, featuring more inclusive mannequins and wider size ranges. Their marketing campaigns now spotlight different body types and stories. They even brought back a version of the fashion show in 2023, not the old wings and spectacle but a global showcase of women artists, designers, and creators. Chapter 5, Is it too late? The question is, can a brand so tied to a narrow vision of sexy truly reinvent itself? Some critics argue the rebrand feels like damage control, not genuine change. Others say the efforts are too safe. They still don't go as far as competitors who built inclusivity into their DNA from the start. Meanwhile, consumers have so many options now. Younger shoppers have grown up seeing Savage X Fenty's bold diversity, Aerie's real customers, and small indie brands that treat all bodies like they belong. Victoria's Secret has an uphill battle. They're still the biggest lingerie name in the world, but the world they once dominated has moved on. The lesson: the rise and fall of Victoria's Secret is about more than bras and runways. It's about what happens when a brand becomes too comfortable, too confident in its formula, and blind to what customers really want. What does sexy mean today? For most people, it's not a fantasy that feels unattainable. It's comfort, confidence, and seeing yourself represented. Whether Victoria's Secret can truly earn back trust remains to be seen. But one thing's certain: the wings are gone, the fantasy has changed, and in a world that keeps evolving, even the biggest brands can't afford to stand still. So, what do you think? Is Victoria's Secret's rebrand working, or is it too little, too late? Do you still shop there, or do you support brands that feel more real to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more brand stories like this. Thanks for watching.